Hubba, we're here. Aren't we? Go away. Be gone, evil text. Let me give it the name that actually helps me remind myself what it is. There you go. Name is already in use. Nani? Oh, well there's my BAB text. That's why you put it. Take it out of there. Let's just get to it. Let's not waste any time. Inco and I, we both are running low. We're out of touch. We're out of time. The last week of the year passed swiftly. I continue to do my treatment exercises, and I do even more than before. Damien would even join in on the doodle sometimes in our group chat, though his art looked even worse than mine somehow. I think it was just running a claw along the touchscreen as a sort of pseudo-stylus, and the results were wonky, jittery lines. But the quality didn't matter. I mean, I've said this before, but like drawing with your finger does not impact quality. There are people who do it with their finger, and they're just incredible. Medium is irrelevant. Having fun did. Liz would chime in periodically, complimenting the efforts, though it was apparent that she had a bias between the two of us. Hardly a surprise. Olivia didn't respond at all, but apparently she hadn't been static. Damien mentioned that she made a few appearances during the day in the last week. She only responded to inquiries with grunts, but her being visible during the waking hours was at least a step in the right direction, I think. Progress is progress. How much that had to do with my gift, neither I, Liz, or the Pains could say. I'd like to think it helped a little, though. Beyond that, Mom would continue to cook as much as she could, though we did fall back to takeout periodically. It's been a week! I would not use periodically to refer to a period of a week. That's like she cooked how many times? 5? And Dad was pushing us to watch a movie together pretty much each night, with popcorn and everything. But we didn't do it every night. But it was a nice bit of bonding we all enjoyed. Wednesday saw my first follow-up at the hospital. My 1 week since discharge check-in. The good news is that after the run of tests was concluded, Dr. Nickett was pleased with how everything was looking. He seemed especially pleased with how my sticking to my exercises was helping my speaking ability, though I admit I couldn't tell the difference. He was adamant things were going well, and I was hardly in a mood to disagree with him. That is such a loaded line for a situation and characters that are just not developed enough. New Year was significantly more reserved affair than Christmas for myself and my parents. Mom cooked again, and I think she was starting to shake off some of the rust. We played some of the board games that the Pains insisted we just go ahead and keep. Suspect Sphere was using it as a convenient excuse to clear some storage space from the overflow of games-related stuff Damien and Vinny had accumulated. Mom and Dad enjoyed some champagne. I toasted with cola. Oh, it's America! You can't drink in America until you're 21. That's so weird. New Year's wishes were had. I tossed in the group chat a similar line. Did you, though? Luigi? I tossed in the group chat a similar line, which Damien and Liz reciprocated. After a hectic first week of being back, it's been like a couple of days of hectic things, from as far as I can tell. This last week was almost annoyingly mundane. I didn't mind, obviously. I was more than happy to have a period without major shakeups, but I spent such a sprint of time doing so much that sitting around at home and practicing drawing most of the time just made me feel itchy. Itchy tasty. The good news was, of course, that tomorrow was Monday, and Monday was a new semester. That's not how American semesters are broken up. January is like the weird... Listen, I don't know a lot about American semesters, but I know that like it's September to December. And then January is like a weird winter period. Or at the very least, September counts to the other one. Because otherwise you have a really lopsided 2 semesters. I don't know, man. It's just fucking weird. I suspected my life was about to ramp up in intensity one way or another in very short order. The morning routine was standard. Wake up, do my exercises, get changed, and get food. Mom didn't have breakfast cooked today, unfortunately. They were going to have to go back to the office, which closed out the beautiful dream that was the last week and a half of having a normal, functioning family. Just about to head out the door so I could catch the early metro, Dad stopped me. Hey, listen, kiddo. Your mom and I have been talking, and the last week and a half was nice, and you clearly enjoyed it too. I know we haven't been around, and that was more or less a conscious decision on our part. We meant well. You seemed so independent and self-sufficient. It seemed harmless, but obviously was the opposite. Do you enter us? Sure. I responded with my... Oh, sure. I responded with my still kind of new TTS option. The voice was annoyingly flat and robotic. Actually, a lot of voices nowadays can actually be pretty decent at it. But it was clear and articulate, which was a big selling point. It may not be able to convey any emotion, but it was still easy. Actually, you want to keep it neutral because you don't know, yeah. But it was much easier to talk with people than jotting down everything down on a note. Is it though? Because you still have to wait. You have to write it down, and then you have to, like, you're not speeding that much up. It's not that much easier. Especially since you can write the text in a way to communicate emotion, and you can't do that with TTS, buddy. I was still stuck picking context of when and where to use one mode or another, but I'm sure that become normal to me soon enough. Dad's hand reached around the back of his head, rubbing it awkwardly. It's a family thing. Hey, he does that too. Neat. I was wondering where... That's not how that works! Listen, kiddo, we can't not go to work, but your mother and I agree that this has been nice. Like, really nice. You deserve us to be there for you. You deserved it before. Now more than ever. So where we're going today, we're going to work with our employees and see if we can figure out a better way to distribute our project workloads we have. What? What? We've been so worried about everything going wrong and stuff blowing up on us if your mother and I weren't hands-on. It's why we were always gone. Oh. It had to be us. Someone else could have gotten it wrong. But we realized the last week and a half of, well, nothing going wrong that we were doing... The problem I have with this, right, is I imagine that this is such a weird thing. Like, it really feels like Inco should have died for this. And the damage isn't that bad. I mean, I can't talk, and that's, like, pretty severe. Human contextually. I guess it's not that great. But there is this element of, like, overreaction is the term I'm going to use, you know? It feels a little... Like, everyone's kind of freaking out over minor issues, all things considered. I mean, Inco at least didn't. Charles, this is a video work. Wait, so, does that mean you will work less? My heart rate started picking up. Did I dare... Listen, Inco, this shit doesn't work when it's a text-to-speech Brandon or Brandy? Randy? Brad Pitford? Yeah, Inco, that's the plan. I don't think it'll be instant, but if it's at all possible, your mother and I are going to walk back that we had direct hands-on and let others pick up the slack. It's what we want. It's what you need. Now, looking back at it, it's probably better for our employees. I'm sure some of them felt like we considered them incompetent morons as we didn't let them do much of the real work. Holy shit, personal growth for everyone! Really was a new year. New Year's resolutions are doomed to fail, Inco. Don't jinx it. I snaked my arms around my dad and pulled him into a hug, which he was happy to reciprocate. A firm pat in the back would signify that I should probably let go, and we parted. You don't want to miss the metro, kiddo. Get out there, he said with a smile. Shankar, I articulated as best as I could. He sent me off with a shoe motion, and I was out the door in the cold. May have all been below freezing, but I couldn't feel it at all. It's a new jacket, man! You got that cool new comfy jacket. This new year was off to a great start. This year was off to such an annoying start. I expected it, obviously, but good lord, it's like some of the dinos at the school ever saw a human that suffered critical brain damage, a black eye, and a severe neck strain one night before. If I thought the gawkers were rude the first day, it's 1,000 times worse now. Well, heard a human got fucked up at the formal, but yikes.
I am impressed he isn't dead.
Mia tried to kill him! And on it went. The high school rumor mill spins eternal. Predictably, I had a meeting with the principal first morning. Meandered my way into her office as I had done a few times by now. Oh, man. Huh. Fortunately, this time I wouldn't really have to worry about the Ben and Mia showing up and to destroy my or Olivia's lives. I gently knocked and in short order was invited in. I think this is wrong. Because that should be life. Because it is or and it's Olivia does not have plural lives, you know. It's one of those oddities that just make me so mad. Principal Scaler managed to look even worse for wear than usual. It's possible it has something to do with the fact that Mr. Ferris, the school nurse, and Coach Solly were crammed. Why is Solly here? Everyone else is understandable. She gestured to the only remaining seat, and I took it. Mr. Nito, welcome back. It's good to see that you are as well as could be expected, given the circumstances. I pulled out my phone, which triggered what was sure to be a reflexive flash of annoyance. An action she'd probably seen other decision-punk students like Mia do to her face before. Lucky for her, that wasn't the case here. Thanks, the TTS spat out. The reflexive annoyance transformed instantly into a wince. Of course. Now your parents forwarded the information about your current condition, as well as notes and recommendations of your doctor. Given your new challenges, St. Hammond is more than happy to provide you certain accommodations to make your remaining time at this year as easy as and simple as possible. My mind flashed over to the start of the year. Olivia left class early. I was naturally following her whenever she left. Mrs. Prockling's misunderstanding my interest in clarifying it was part of Olivia's accommodations. Well, if nothing else, at least Olivia wouldn't be alone in the accommodations club. Such as, I asked. This time Mr. Ferris spoke up. You will be provided a similar elevator key card as Mrs. Selford. I understand you utilized the elevator alongside her last semester, but in order for you to allow you to travel on your own time to classes, especially with concerns of potentially exacerbating your injuries, you will be afforded their use personally as well. Like, his neck is a little messed up, but he doesn't need an elevator. I guess they're so worried he's gonna. I mean, admittedly, there is the thing of like he has a head injury. So, in case a big stinky head. Inco is like, oh boy, my dad and I were all having nice, but the week was very calm, and now I'm really screwing this up, aren't I? Anyway, he's seeing Scalar, and they're giving him a key. I do like the whole, like, really? You're pulling out a phone? Really? And it's like, no, we're talking. But I gotta say, I get it. Like, he might fall down the stairs, like, have a spell of dizziness because he might have brain damage in that way, you know. Brain damage can sometimes come with fatigue and all that fun stuff, which could make him fall downstairs. So, fine. But that is, like, off the table. They've pointed out this isn't going to happen, which is why they let him go at all. I don't know. It feels like it's trying to have it both ways. It's cutting the knife. I mean, knives cut on both sides, Effie. That's how a fucking knife works! Man, I'm being accused. Oh, there we go. I just had to get a good laugh out of my system. Anyway. Given the subtle tweak at mentioning Olivia's name, Ferris knew something of the circumstances between me and her now. I wasn't sure how much, but I suspected he wasn't keen on the idea of us sharing the elevator anytime soon. Yeah, fair. Yeah, he says it fair. Additionally, we have spoken to Coach Solly about how your injuries may preclude you from normal participation. He continued, oh shit, fuck! Ooh, he's doing the double quote! Oh, that makes me want to flex, because that's, So many novice authors are afraid of this. However, one note, that is not an uppercase, because quotations are considered to be part of the same sentence they're included in. They do not get uppercase unless you use a period. I'm sorry to tell you, buddy. Almost there. 8. B+. Attendance will continue to be obligatory, but taking in physical activities or not. Once your doctor provides the school with documentation their injuries have healed in full, you'll be able to join your classmates in regular activities again. So, basically, he has to show up, but he doesn't have to do anything. I mean, Coach Charlie can give him something lighter to do, like some sit-ups or something. Actually, no, sit-ups make a lot of blood rush to your head if you do it. Because it's pretty intense. You know, you could go for a walk. Keep those legs moving. The nurse quickly interjected about how critical it was that I followed guidance lest my injuries get worse. I already knew that part, of course, but I informed her that I understood completely. Yeah, just go along with it, buddy. Don't be difficult just to be a snark. Solly, for the most part, just looked as disgruntled as he normally did. I think they brought him here just to drill the point home, rather than him providing the input. I would also advise that Mr. Coach Solly, that punitive discouragement of Mr. Nito will also be aggressively Yeah, Principal Scalar noted, staring. Yeah, because at the beginning of the year, he fucking beamed you. He beamed you in the back. Not in the head, by the way, in the back. It is Mia that got him in the head, and it is Scalar, and it is Solly that beamed him in the back. Like, That and a dismissive grunt from Solly, an annoyed, raised eyebrow from Ferris. That was good, at least. Still some mild PTSD from Mr. Sparkling's had Solly throw a dodgeball from the ground floor into the second floor classroom and hit an empty seat to prove a point. I thought she hit a student. But I am rereading it, so who knows. The last dodgeball hit I had taken from Solly put me out for half a day. No, he hit you in the back. Solly is smart enough not to go for head injuries. That was entirely on Mia. As far as I understand it. Maybe I read it wrong. In which case, I shouldn't reread things. Taking one again would probably actually murder me. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, buddy. Your teachers have likewise all been informed about your usage of your phone as a medical necessary text-to-speech device. Why not just give him the notepad? Come on! As well as written notation and communication. However, I would stress to remind you that while it is a medically necessary device, it is still a distraction, she explained, leaning forward, looking me in the eye. You will receive disciplinary actions if it is found that you are busy abusing your accommodations to play around in class. I nodded. Again, fair. Man, this really does feel like they're laying down the law, huh? I wonder, why are we doing this, though, other than giving Solly some sludge? The nurse gave me a basic rundown of what certain medical expectations of me given my condition. Signs I should see her, resting at her office if I was feeling woozy or lightheaded, and so on. I never ever gotten the full scope of Olivia's accommodations at school, but I had to admit, the line they were feeding me was thorough. No doubt because Mr. Ferris was actually putting a grindstone to absolutely everything right now. Both from the regular audit as well as events around the formal, as well as the events of the formal. The term formal is a bit... I affirmed that I understood and promised her that I would check in with her if I felt anything at all, which seemed to placate her. I almost wanted to ask how she and her husband were doing, but it wasn't the right time or mood, maybe later. Oh yeah, she married the guy, right? Yeah. I almost forgot, that's like the same person. Because it's such a, detail that gets... I don't even know, is it? I don't even know. That detail is just washed out of my brain with how much of a footnote it is, and it never gets followed up on. Hopefully they're doing well. Scalar and Ferris continue to go over new changes in my school routine, but honestly it was mostly stuff I knew already or anticipated. Soon enough, the early bell rang, and Scalar used that as a sign to conclude the overlong meeting. Overlong? How is it overlong? Very well, Mr. Nito. You can follow Solly to your first class. And, Mr. Nito, she said as I stood, I'm happy to see that you are well. She flashed a tired smile. Oof. Oof. That's not a smile you want to see, buddy. That's a bad smile. Thank you, Mrs. Scalar. Thank you, Mrs. Scalar, I returned, before returning to leave with Solly, who kindly, if impatiently, was holding the door open for me. I turned my attention to Mr. Ferris. Mr. Ferris, could we talk after school? It is importante. Why is it doing that? Of course. I will wait for you there, he said with a nod. Content with that plan, I turned to my Simian P instructor. Let's see how classes were for me now. Solly escorted me at a pretty aggressive pace, and was clearly slightly annoyed they had to sit through that rigmarole. It's rigmarole! Instead of getting ready for his class. I don't think he had any ill will towards me specifically, though. The guy just always looked pissed. Listen, I'm writing Ophinia the Exchange Student, and a thing I'm really hammering in on is people are pissed at Scalar a lot. Because a big change is Yatacon gets called in, because Ophinia is such a weird element to the school. It's he gets called in, he's like, you didn't need me here. You didn't need me here for anything. And even Solly is like, I gotta be nice, and I hate it, because no one really wants me to be nice. Scalar's just overreacting to the situation. Everyone's pissed at her. And it's great. It's just fun. It just makes me go, ooh! We arrived at class, and just before I departed for the locker room to change, she stopped me with a hand on my shoulder. Remember today, no joining in today. You're stuck on guard duty, but I'm proud of you. You clearly took quite the beating, and you're back up on your feet. Keep that up. I could almost see the bear's twinge of a smile on his stern face before he released me. He has smiled in the game, though. He smiled. He thought you were cool when you were trying. I changed into my uniform and entered class. Damien was literally jumping up and down with excitement, waving his arms at me. And I walked over to meet him. Sup, dude? Welcome to a whole new year! Thank you, too. And thanks for the help with the text-to-speech, I answered. Anytime, man. Makes you sound like a cyborg or something, he said with a grin. I snorted a laugh at the absurd notion. Like, it's been 3 months, man. You have, like, 6 more months to go at school, buddy.
All right, cadets, it's a brand new year, and thus a brand new you, and that you will become strong!
Ah, good. Solly hadn't given himself a news revolution to have an indoor voice. Would have hated to see that.
And the best way to get strong, that's right, with competition!
Why is there a period there? You already got. You don't have to do that with an exclamation point.
Team up now, cadets! It's dodgeball day! Dodge ball!
Damien, as usual, looked absolutely ecstatic at the notion. So a thing I noticed, right? A thing I noticed about Damien in this. Hold on, I need to drink because that voice fucking takes something out of me. Ugh. So, a thing worth noting. Damien, day one, is a fucking moron, or at the very least, he's playing it super fast and loose. With like I have this strong theory, right, that the demo, the original parts of the demo, are vastly different. The plans for the characters are vastly different. Ben is about to say, "Oh, shut up," or something like that to Inco when he grabs the camera. Olivia seems to be a lot sterner and like harsher. Solly feels more like he's supposed to be a parental figure, like he's supposed to have a mentor role. You can really pick up that a lot of the characters are written a bit more goofily. That the original plot wasn't going to be as heavy. And Damien was going to be stupider. Or at least he feels stupider, because he's way more snippy about things. In a way that makes him look dumb. Anyway. Bro, team up! Same as first day. Except I cannot join in, Damien, I replied, pointing to my head and neck brace. I felt bad and he deflated immediately. Oh, right, dude. You probably actually died this time. I murmured in agreement. Oh, wait. I murmured in agreement with my actual voice. You can still say hello and no. I mean, those are easy, you know? It's a lot of words you can't still sort of say. Gave him a supportive pat on the shoulder and broke off from the forming teams to situate myself on some of the bleachers. High up on the bleachers. Wouldn't really want to catch a stray around and be obliterated by happenstance. A moment later, as the teams broke out, Solly blew his whistle, signaling for the chaos to begin. Balls were flying everywhere. It was almost magical to see from the outside. This probably would have looked like on the first day, but I was too terrified, or too full of myself, to really get a sense of the madness of it all. Like, Solly points out, Inco, you got too focused on doing what you were doing instead of focusing on what needed to be done. Like, again, really early on, they hammered home a couple of key points of the plot, and Solly just fucks off after that, after the demo, in ways that feel weird, right? You get me? Damien, of course, was excelling. He had a ball in each hand and was alternating between deflecting with one or throwing with the other. Whichever hand was empty would scoop up the deflected ball to restock his reserves. He was a lean, mean dodge balling machine. Right on, dude. I mean, he is very competent in that first one. It really got the impression that he was supposed to be a jock instead of, like, emotionally ripened. But maybe that changes. But I really do. Again, I really feel like the demo is like this radically different world tonally. Man, that really does take it out of my voice. It's immediately dry. Is this what Olivia lives like? Damn, Olivia, you live like this? However, as fascinating as the mock war was, not being able to participate ultimately did make it boring after a few minutes. Only so many times you can see the same poor pterodactyl or raptor get scored on. Before it gets old, I pulled out my phone and got back to sketching. For a New Year's resolution, I settled on expanding my art skills. Why is he so... What's the point of this? I don't know why there's suddenly like Inco needs to be an artist instead of a photographer. I guess it doesn't translate either way. Like, photography or this doesn't work. I don't... It just feels weird. Because it's always been the dividing... I didn't think I'd ever be able to reach the skills of Olivia or Liz. Wow. That was pretty silly to think. But I'd like to imagine that I could match a respectable sketch by the end of the year. Fucker, you're gonna learn way faster than that. Like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but when I started drawing, you get way faster than you think once you put in the effort. Like, at the beginning, it's mostly learning some of the raw technicals of you know, just, you know, what your tools can do. And then over time, you start to refine that hone. You get in on it. I tried internalizing some of the Snoot videos I watched and was busy scribbling down rough, approximate lines of the dodgeball chaos in front of me. It was a messy and poor composition, but it kind of sort of looks like a gym with little people in it. I keep this up for the next 6 months, and I might actually be good. Have a good end-of-year piece for Yadak. I clicked my tongue in annoyance at the mental slip. For art class. I was busy scribbling away, and my focus returned to the dodgeball chaos when someone yelled above the din.
Yo, Skinny, watch it!
Oh no. Oh, it's Mia.
Yo, Skinny, watch it!
I looked up just in time to see a dodgeball clip the bench next to me. The ball ringing as it clapped past me by less than a foot before lodging. I love that Solly is referred to as having perfect form in when he makes the opening salvo before lodging itself in the rafters. That's Mia! Ripped my head around to pinpoint the perpetrator. Maybe it wasn't fair, but my eyes found Mia first. She was mid-throw pose, her eyes, along with everyone else's, staring up at me. Oh, that bitch! Mia, that's like legally a problem. Yeah, so was it someone else? Oh, my face began to heat when I could feel my pulse quicken. I was working myself up to yell and try to say something appropriately belligerent, if likely unintelligible, when Solly snapped my attention back.
Watson, you will aim when you throw. If I see a sloppy throw from you again, you'll be learning laps until I forget you exist.
An ankylosaurus next to me, who was admittedly oriented more in my direction, squealed out an apology. I held Mia's gaze for a moment longer. I couldn't really make out her expression from here, but knowing that she probably had some smug look on her face, Solly's whistle screamed out again, and the game was back on. The class, I like how we're just suddenly getting Mia back like this. I want to know where it's going to go with it, because Promise of a Lifetime did kind of turn around a lot of its core concepts, but man, what's going on here? I worked my way down from the rafters. You're not in the rafters! I felt slightly bad that my first impulse was to assume Mia was to blame. But she had also literally done it before and proven herself to be a bit of a vindictive bitch. So the assumption was justified. Still, the flash of anger was concerning. The good news was Damien was rather happy to regale me with the exploits in the game I literally just watched him play. And we changed back to our normal clothes, which calmed me back down and lifted my mood. When we split, I worked my way towards the second floor, pausing briefly at the elevator. I thumbed the key. It's not a key card. I think it's like a literal normal metal key. Giving myself a little shrug. I'll use it if I need it, but I can still walk and probably should get some exercise. The last 2 weeks were hard on my body, and if I couldn't rely on Solly to get me back in shape, I'd have to do a bit of work on my own. I made a good time, and only felt a little burn in my legs by the time I got to Edicon's old classroom. You're walking through school, man. How can it be that exhausting? It's on the second floor, man. Jesus! Noodle legs, noodle legs, noodle, noodle, noodle legs. Oh yeah, Yadakon's fucking dead, right? So I paused at the door. His name was still above the door plate. I couldn't tell if it'd be better or worse when they finally replaced it. Maybe both. I quietly entered the room. More predictable whispers around me. I took my regular seat and looked to the empty one next to me. Olivia skipped today, then. Not all that surprising, given what happened. I wouldn't have the foggiest idea what to do or say, but I can't say I liked it. The bell rang, and this is when normally Yadaka would slam the table, ending side conversations, so people could focus on the lesson. The substitute had no such thing between her flat-droning delivery and the so much more interesting subject that was I. Whispers continued in class. Stupendous! Class ended, and I packed up my note. The sub wasn't awful, exactly, but she managed to make the subject I was interested in painfully boring, just like Procling. I wasn't sure what the plan about replacing Yadakon was, but hopefully it was someone that actually wanted to be here and teach. I'd be pretty mad if I failed Yadakon's class because I was driven to sleep by the sub. Fortunately, next was lunch, and I was looking forward to spending time with Damien and Liz. I worked my way to the land of the lawless luncheons. Yeah, it really does describe it like a fucking war zone the first time. And took the long side route to the backseat area. I wasn't going to risk being consumed by a random tail fruit tray today. Concussed, sorry. Damien weighed me down as if I wasn't already on my way, with an armful of snacks and sodas as always in store. Hey dude, it's like nothing changed at all, Damien said after he shotgunned one of the sodas and crushed the carcass of a can. Ah, I like that one. Carcass of a can. Almost, I said, looking conspicuously at the empty spot where Olivia would always sit. Yeah, hey, but like I said in the messages, she's been making occasional appearances. So that's progress, right? Maybe she'll come tomorrow. Oh, what? She came out of her room. That's great to hear, Liz said as her head dipped down from the suspended salad bar. Yeah, again, like, the suspended salad bar really only makes sense in the demo world where things are a bit goofier. In the serious world, it feels a little weirder to focus on those things. Like, Liz was obviously chosen to have a specific role in the story and have a certain goofy element to her. Same with Damien. But those elements had to be sidelined for the serious times. Oh, flutters my lashes. Damien, my digitized voice chastised him. He flashed his usual sheepish grin and laughed. I don't think I would call it sheepish. He's not sheeped easily. Sorry, Liz. I was just so shocked. It slipped my mind to tell you. I mean, she doesn't care, does she? She literally told Inco, like, you know, you're kind of the girlfriend of my boyfriend. You know, the sister of my boyfriend. This was nice. Well, Olivia Missing wasn't. But in this moment right here, it was a dose of some of the normal again. Damien was fighting the Mr. Meat special like it was a full-body workout, with his neck extending out of sight, gently swaying. The cacophony of increasingly violent, food-motivated riots on the far side of the room. It wasn't so bad after all. I decided to make at least an attempt at looping Olivia in on current events, hopefully not overplaying the positive response I'd gotten from Christmas. I took a picture of Damien struggling to defeat his lunch and fired it off to Olivia. Damien's having trouble at lunch. A heartbeat later, marked as read. That was fast. Isn't it ending 2 or 3? I think it's ending 3. Where Olivia gets kicked out of school because she doesn't show up. But after a few moments, no reply. She was definitely reading what I sent. At least that. So I wasn't on ignore or anything. Lunch concluded. Unforgettable luncheon. And I'd realized I bought the usual amount of extra snacks that was intended to include Olivia. I handed the extras off to Damien so I could pass them on to their intended target when he got home. Hell yeah, old snacks. Like they don't stay fresh in the machine, Safi? What? I am gonna yawn. Yeah. With that little logistical matters settled, we broke off and headed to our next round of classes. I walked my way back to Yatakan's classroom and took my usual seat. I tuned out the noise of whispers as everyone else continued to file in. A familiar voice cut through the filter. Oh yeah, and startled as it addressed me. Inco, you're back! I turned my head, and there he was, the blue Parasaurolosaurus himself, Benjamin McKnight. I forced my face to be neutral, but inside I was anything but. Well, on the plus side, your face is half paralyzed, so it should be a little easier. Oh, Ben, we need to talk, buddy! That feels way more grown-up aggressive add-on than Inco does, but hey, he is a new Inco. After a moment to collect myself, I looked away and merely grunted a reply. I could tell out of my peripheral that he seemed slightly taken aback by that, but took his seat next to me anyway. Oh, he's just coming in at lunch? What? Oh, no, he's already in the classroom. I'm sorry. You're probably getting that a lot today, but I'm glad that you are doing better, though. Why did I say but? I'm glad. Again, my peripheral vision caught his response. His smile faded some and his brow furrowed. It was subtle. He was definitely getting annoyed at my response. Yeah, great to see you too, pal. With nothing else to be gained by conversation right now, Vin focused on the lesson, such as it was with the substitute. You're not in this class. It's a Monday, right? And on Monday you have... No, wait, there's lunch. And then... It's lunch, then art design. And then photography. I forgot. Photography's... Is it on the same day? I don't know. No, that's on Tuesday, right? I don't know, man. The school schedule doesn't actually fucking matter, but you know what I mean. It's a weird detail that people should not fixate on, but I'm doing it anyway, because it's my stream. I can do what I want. Such as a substitute. They weren't much better than the sub for AP Art Design! And I even noticed even Ben was zoning out of the dull reading that was happening. I may have to beg Principal Spiller to speed up the replacement process for my recovery. Class ended, Ben bid me goodbye, which I responded with a grunt. Finally, it was time for Mrs. Prockling's class. To fully round out the horrific monotony of education that was the current state of things here. Took my seat and honestly spent most of the period just staring at Olivia's empty seat. Olivia has her own chair! Why is the seat there? For other people, naturally. But you think she would have a dedicated spot just for convenience's sake? Like, that's the Olivia seat, so we don't have to move the chair away all the dang time. Because she sure as fuck ain't going off of... Like, I don't get that, man. Wheelchair people don't climb out of their wheelchair 10 times a fucking day. They just move their wheelchair in place. It's way easier, and they can make their wheelchair nice and comfortable, and never have to worry about other seating arrangements. I considered doodling, but I didn't need my phone taken away. A scaler noted, just because I was getting some special privileges didn't mean their abuse would be tolerated. I mean, the way things go, people are discouraged from talking to you. Right? Like, your teachers are technically discouraged from involving you in the process because you're more cumbersome to talk to. About halfway through the class, I had resolved to just write notes to fill the time. Because, God, this sucked. Class ended, and with the final bell, I was free from this horrid pit. I quickly slipped away and began making my way towards the principal's office for my meeting with Mr. Ferris. It was slow going against the outflow of students, but I knew he'd wait for me and didn't feel pressure to rush. As I rounded the final corner into the office hall, most of the students had cleared out by now, I heard a familiar, frustrating voice. Oh boy, it's Mia! Oh boy, it's Mia.
There he is!
My eyes clenched shut, and I could immediately feel the onset of a headache. Rap to Jesus, why have you forsaken me? I opened my eyes and turned back to see Mia approaching, looking annoyed as if there wasn't a default person anyways. She was also dragging Ben by the arm and was putting up the most feeble resistance in history. Oh, so we're doing these guys before Ferris? Hell yeah. She pulled up to me and yanked Ben into position next to her. Inco, what is this about? Ben asked, slightly winded. I shrugged. I honestly had no idea. Mia and I hadn't exchanged any words today. We exchanged glasses at the dodgeball accident, but that was someone else.
Benny Boo, you need to work this out with your bestie here. Tell him I'm innocent as usual.
That line got my teeth clenched a little tighter. Of course, Mia, but I still do not know what is going on, Ben said, straightening himself out and looking at me. Mia, for her part in all of this, just stared at me like I was supposed to have any clue what she was going on about. Oh yeah, because of the rumors that Mia did something. Instead of just, Inco and Damien. For my part, I just stared at her, then looked at Ben, then back at Mia with a constant expression of general annoyance. I really had better things to do than whatever the hell this was. When she realized I was going to participate in this, her snout curled into a frown. This is why I think it's the same fucking guy, because that's not what noses do. Listen, alright. Listen the fuck up. The definition of snout is the projecting nose and mouth. Or a person's nose. It's not your face. Your face frowns. Maybe your lips, but not your nose. Like your nose. I mean, your nostrils can flare, I guess.
Look, Baldy, I don't know what your beef is, but I saw that expression of yours at gym. I didn't throw that ball, got it. You know that? So why you give me the fucking stink eye?
Inco, is that true? Oh, fuck off, Ben. Hold up my phone to type in a response. Ben and Mia both share that perplexed look. I wasn't mad at her. I was mad. I got hit by a ball. I don't really care about Mia, drawled the digital voice. Ben's face turned pale as he put the pieces together of what was happening. Apparently, he had been the one to call 911 after... I'm going to call it 9/11 because I think it's funny that way. I apparently had been the one to call 9/11 after I was hurt, so he definitely saw the condition I was in. Even if he would probably blow up a building if it helped me out, he was not stupid. Quickly put two and two together and landed on the right card. Oh, I'm so sorry. No one had told me that... Ben's face was contorted with embarrassment and concern. It made me feel a little bad. I could have told him at least. Still pissed at him, but we could at least be civil. Especially since I still needed to talk to him about what his and Olivia's deal was. I was about to type out a reply when I heard a snort. I looked up to see the dumb bitch had that trademark curled smile plastered on her face.
Don't you mean her snout?
Yep, here we go.
Oh Oh my god, he can't even talk anymore. That's just so precious. Now him and I will make a match mute set.
I could feel my face curling into a sneer.
Oh, I love sneers. A sneer. I love that word.
I'd be pissed enough if she was mocking me at this point, but bringing Olivia into it, especially when she wasn't here, was several grades. Wait, especially when she wasn't here, was several grades a mistake over the mark.
Mia, you can't be saying things like...
Ben attempts to pull his girlfriend, reel his girlfriend in was ineffective as ever. She barely registered he was talking.
Oh, hush, Benny. Oh, hush, Benny. You know, it's like some playful ribbing among friends, right, Baldy? After all, we get along so well at the formal. We even danced.
Oh, yeah, they did. Kiss, 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 kiss.
What?
Oh, cool. She didn't tell him about that either. Mia continues to be a class act of a girlfriend.
Well, you know, you were busy with the cripple. You expect me to just sit around like a loser all night? Hardly.
Oh, fuck. Hardly. Ben's face began to form a frown. I was well past that. My blood was beginning to boil.
Mia, do not call Olivia that. We're going to get in trouble with the sensitivity officer. You mean the person that only talks to the teachers? Oh, boo, you're so uptight, Benny. But whatever. We're talking to Baldy here, weren't we? Oh, so human boy. How's it feel?
Well, don't you do it, you dumb whore. I'm really trying to hold us together. Her face curled further into a vindictive grin.
You know, being disabled alongside your girlfriend, you do have so much in... Mia!
Ben tried to rein her in one last time, but it was too late. Hell, I tried to rein myself in one last time, but it's too late for that too. Is that the right rein? I don't even know sometimes. I recently had someone say it's the wrong one. Yeah, this is the right one. It's the good rein. Good job. Thumbs up. I mean, considering we had gz, so... I mean, the problem is more like it's one of those subtle words that people get wrong because they never see it in writing. You know, they see rein as into rule, but never rein as into control a horse, or the bit that you put in a horse. The only thing that brought a sparkle of amusement to the back of my brain was as I watched her lose control over myself, that Mia clearly didn't see it coming. My hand whipped up behind me and I torqued my entire body into it. I've been suing a lot of personal issues for longer than I thought. I've slowly been piecing things together over the last year. I'd slowly been piecing things together over the last near 2 weeks, but clearly the backlog of Inco issues was too dense to unpack in such a short time. Everything that had been stressing me out, all the shit I had to put up with as mine and Olivia's lives fell apart. It wasn't technically actually Mia's fault, but her inability to be a halfway decent person to anyone, including Ben, made her a juicy and very easy to internally rationalize target for my outlet. Juicy! Don't call it juicy, man!
Let's squeeze some of that juice.
I may not be able to talk, you dumb bitch. You're just thinking so many mean words right now. But I can plant 5 across your... You're gonna slap her? I thought you were gonna punch. I brought my hand down with full force. I twisted my hips into the bow low on reflex. Maybe I learned that from some Snoot videos some ages ago. I couldn't tell you why I did it. It's because Anon is channeling... Because Anon's Skid Row spirit is channeling into you, cousin. But I could sure tell you it worked. My open palms crashed cleanly against the broad side of her snout. That's a good one. And the uneven surface of her scales bit into my palm, ensuring a strong, clean connection as I followed through. With the force, momentum, and friction, her face followed my hand, and I planted her face toward directly into the floor. How? I think Mia's a bit too sturdy to just fall over, but I fucking love this. By the way, did you know that if you actually slap someone, like, their face just jiggles a lot? And we needed more tense music than this. Sorry, we're listening to the... Actually, let's pull up Mia's theme. We don't listen to that one too much, do we? I think that's B-side. The strike was like a thunderclap. There was a non-zero chance that Olivia heard the resonance all the way back at the Payne's place. Hopefully, Raptor Jesus would make that happen and bring a tiny smile to her face. Was the first sound that Olivia made after I had ricocheted off the ground. I felt a little bad, mostly for the fact that I just got myself expelled. Yep. But at least a little bit for Ben. Since he just saw the love of his life get body dumped to the school linoleum.
Mia, Inco! What the hell?
Ben yelled, almost dropping to a knee to try and help his girlfriend.
Ben, my man, your girlfriend just spent the last minute and a half insulting me for my disability. I'm really not in the wrong here.
You know, I'm gonna have to... Listen, let's pause the music. There's an old saying, punch a Nazi. And I think this is like the extension of that. Like, if someone isn't willing to be a reasonable conversation partner and you have to deal with them anyway, you might as well just slap them. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, she's just here for the rhetoric. I'm really not in the wrong here. I finished the recovery of the blow and straightened up and took a step back. Warning signs were already there that Mount Mia was about to blow. If she could turn any redder, I didn't believe it.
You.
She steadied herself on all fours for a moment as a drop of... Oh shit, you made her bleed. Buddy, a nosebleed is no joke, and you just fucked up, like, in a special kind of way.
You skinny fucker.
Mia roared. Ben, the noodly nerd, was unable to stop the full rage force of Mia. I mean, not even the school infrastructure could stop Mia, so Ben losing out was a foregone conclusion. You what? What? Churl? You're calling her Churly? That's not very nice. I roared back in my slurred speech, throwing my arms wide in a taunt. Oh, you're doing that one. We're pulling that posture out of the bag. She grabbed me with both fists at the collar of my shirt and shoved me down. Fortunately for me, I collided head first, which isn't great for someone already suffering from traumatic brain injuries. Hilariously, unfortunately for Mia, however, it was that my head cracked off the floor right as the door to Principal Scaler's office opened. Mia didn't notice as she straddled me. Through the stars in my eyes, I could see that she was readying a strike of her own. She planned to punch me directly in my face. The good news is that it never happened. Mr. Ferris cleared the gap in a single... What is it with people in this world and clearing gaps in just mere strides? Like, Solly has mastered the art of the JoJo walk, and clearly Ferris does too. Solly and Ferris, just crossing through city blocks in 2 steps. Ferris cleared the gap in a single stride in his huge fist, which, by the way, is so big that Inco describes it as his palm being big enough for his hand. And his huge fist grabbed around the elbow of her readying arm. He yanked her and pulled her off the ground like a rag doll. She squealed in pain. I mean, to be honest, that's how you dislocate. Man, what was up with Ferris and fucking up people's arms? Dude needed a better hobby. No, he needs a hobby that hurts less people. My head swam. It was hard to focus. I could feel the bile rolling up in my gut and just barely managed to roll over to my side before spewing the console. Oh shit, he's vomiting. That's... Oh, shit. Yeah, that's, So, I don't know what to tell you, but, like, if you are suffering a head injury and you start vomiting, or you start feeling tired, or sleepy, or fatigued, or disoriented, that's really bad news, and you should probably call a doctor very quickly. Anyway, let's turn to some dramatic music, because it seems like things are going even worse. Oh boy. Ooh, I show I. Yeah, also, this is the 3rd time I woke in the nurse's office. My mom was in the visitor's chair looking profoundly distraught. Nice! I got that picturesque awakening I wanted at the beginning of the year. All it took was 2 major head traumas. It's 3. You also cracked your face on the door. Not worth it. I let out a reflexive groan as I tried focusing my eyes on anything specific, and my mom leapt to her feet. Oh, Raptor Cinco! She cried as she was upon me immediately. She kissed my forehead and cradled my head. You probably shouldn't do that at this moment. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, odds are his neck... Like, ooh, this is just uncomfortable. After a few moments, she had called enough that Mr. Farrad felt comfortable gently pulling her away. He took a knee next to the nurse's bed as my mom returned to a post at the visitor's chair. He looked troubled, hardly a surprise. I've been making his and Scalar's job awfully hard lately. He took a few moments to organize his thoughts before beginning. To begin with, Mr. Nito, Mrs. Moretti has been suspended. If you were concerned about her attempting to act upon you again, you may rest assured that she will not be a problem. I nodded, even though the subtle movement triggered a wave of vertigo in me. She has had a multitude of behavioral issues in the past, and Mrs. Scale informed me that she has been directed at alternative attempts and discipline multiple times, but it clearly has not worked. Mr. McKnight attempted to speak for her with Mrs. Scale, put her foot down on this. It is deeply troubling when students resort to violence in that way. Yeah, you've stopped it twice, man. Inco is just a magnet for trouble. Ferris is just like losing rep points every day. Ouch. Things are bad, man. This is just bad. Like, I'm being jokey, but to be honest, I'm actually feeling the anxiety I felt with ending one in Snoot Game. You know, that, like, oh, shit's fucked. And all I can do is make jokes.
Mr. McKnight was insistent that Mrs. Moretti was not to blame in the engagement, that there was a misunderstanding, but I saw her throw you to the ground and force you to hit your head. After you had suffered such injuries already, to allow such an action to an already injured student would be a mark on the school's name I don't know would ever be washed away. Mr. Potter?
I know I'm going for that. I need a really deep voice from him because he's a big man. He's really big, and he has a big throat.
I again replied that I understood.
It was honestly shocking how fast she resorted to violence. Like, yeah, you hit her with an open palm, she started bleeding, you hit her to the floor, man. You went a lar. You did not just hit her, man. You went the mile. But she was already ready to pound me to the floor for it. How long was that fuse waiting to be sparked? I mean, after the dance at the prom, who knows? At the formal, I guess. Who knows? How long was mine? Yeah, because don't forget, you went first. You did go first. All things considered. I wondered if it eventually would have been Olivia or Ben that sparked it off at the wrong time and gotten brutalized instead of me. Another mark for Inco takes the team, I guess. No. I really need to stop making a habit of this. I'm pretty sure I'd actually die. Yeah, at this point, you kind of have it coming, buddy.
Given the circumstances, you wanted to monitor your condition for a moment. You're all out for a few moments, but given your recent medical history, we'll be getting you delivered to the hospital as soon as the ambulance arrives. That doesn't mean we'll have to suspend our talk for a moment.
I patted my pants for my phone. I didn't want to risk moving my head to avoid tripping away with vertigo again, but I can't figure out what pocket it was in last.
I assume you were looking for this?
Mr. Ferris hands me my phone. A crack in the screen. I hit in frustration. Jesus Christ, man! Buy a good phone cover. On the other hand, it's like a week or two old.
I believe when Mrs. Moretti tackled you, it fell from your hand and hit the floor. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll wave his apology off. Sounds like he did anything wrong here. Good news is that the screen still functioned well enough for my knees, but it was definitely getting replaced. Yeah, it's nice and cheap. Why did it even break then? If you're going to do something with the cracked screen, okay, but otherwise you can just not have this happen. If it's not a problem, why do it, you know? It's a Chekhov's gun. It's like, why bother? Why put the gun there? You're making a scene out of it. I mean, it's like a paragraph, but whatever. We need to talk after I get checked out. It is important.
Inco, I think you should...
It is important. I'd repeated the message for emphasis. It is important. Red alert. Red alert. It is important. Terminate. Exterminate. Exterminate.
Exterminate!
I've never ever seen an episode of Doctor Who, but I do know that I want to say
Exterminate!
Babu. Oh. Someone is playing Plock, that goofy adventure game, and it's like the worst of both worlds when it comes to a checkpoint system. Anyway, moving on. Mr. Ferris's frown deepened as he looked at me. I held my gaze firm, and fortunately Mom stepped in on my side. Mr. Ferris, if my son is so insistent on the matter, even after being hurt, then maybe it would be in best interest if you hear him out. He's been through a lot lately, and knowing that he has the support of the faculty here when he needs them would do wonders for putting his and my mind at ease. Hell yeah, Mom! He looked at her, then back at me. I tried not to blink, as if to beam the importance of this to him. Well, another beating, he relented.
Well, Mr. Nito, I visit you in the hospital after you've been thoroughly checked out by your doctor.
I flashed him the best smile I could manage at the time. A few minutes later, the EMTs arrived and transferred me to a gurney. Ordinarily, I'd have more bravado to say I could manage myself, but the slightest rocking made my hand call. The slightest rock on my head came with disorientation, so I decided I would leave it to the experts for now. They wheeled me out towards the hall, and thankfully at this point the rest of the students had gone home, or been forcefully shooed away by the staff. Either way, I wouldn't have to deal with the rumor mill. Mom kept up behind the gurney as I was wheeled into the hall. We exited the office door and began rolling down the hall proper. I managed to glance to the far wall where Ben was sitting. He was pressed up against the wall with his head in his hands. I couldn't see his face, but his posture was easy to read. We'd have to talk at a later date. Sorry, man. Are you sorry, though? That really went away. Oof. Also, if you're smart, you realize that this is the expression he takes when Mia's like, your drugs are mine, you fool, he's a psychotic. Even though, again, psychosis medication are not for being a psychopath. But people don't know, and that's what matters. Dr. Nickett wasn't there, but the doctor that did see me... Why are we focusing on Dr. Nickett if he's just exchangeable for any other doctor? What are you doing? It's like... Your economy of detail is in really awkward places sometimes. I want to point out that my problem with the story so far has been just, like, structural issues. Character plot and theme-wise, it's fine. Like, it's doing what it needs to actually stick the landing. It's fine. But, man, if it's just missing a lot of obvious opportunities and kind of screwing things up in little ways, it's just... solid B+, at the minimum. Especially if it sticks the landing at the end. Because you know what they say, beginning and end are the important parts. Although a boring middle can bore the shit out of people. You gotta make sure they know the ending's with it. Mom tried to come to my defense, say that it was someone else that initiated the injury, which was mostly true, but he shot it down pretty cleanly. Regardless of the injury, the fact of the matter is that your son's his own person and needs to try to avoid circumstances in which this happens. It may have been out of his control, and that was a key part of it, but I clearly need to emphasize with him how important it is to avoid further injuries like this. Now we're describing him as old and slightly fat. Nice. Mom quickly quailed at his retort. Good try, Mom, but objectively right in this one. Mr. Nito. The good news is that the impact wasn't hard enough to seeming to exacerbate anything, it seems. Your scans came back the same as they were before, and a quick cognition test affirms you're still functional. But please, for the love of all that is holy, don't do that again. I'm being very serious when I tell you the wrong kind of blow could remove your ability to communicate at all or do worse. You could go blind! Yeah, I affirmed to him. He scrutinized before knowing to turn to Mom. We'll keep him overnight for observation, but he should be good to go back home tomorrow. I recommend against him attending school tomorrow as well. Mom affirmed the plan and sat by the bed. After a moment, she donned a disappointing look. Inco, what happened at school today? Mr. Ferris and Mrs. Scaler said he were jumped by a bully. Has this happened before? Man, this song is so quiet at first. Oh, it's on the wrong volume. It's supposed to be on volume 2. Sorry about that. Sorry. I'm dumb. Let's make one more. No, we can wait a little. Is there any? Oh, there's no obvious. Oh, there's an obvious cutting point here, and that's still a pretty decent chunk of text. There's also a cut here. Oh shit. Well, you know what? We'll go with the next point. That's like obvious turning point. Okay. Before I could answer, a rumbling echo I could feel in my chest occurred. I would also like to know.
I would also like to know the circumstances, as well as what you wish to talk with me about.
Ferris said as he entered the room. Mom went about the basic pleasantries, and Mr. Ferris pulled over one of the chairs alongside hers at the side of the bed. Don't do that twice. I pondered for a moment. Ponder the orb, Inco. Your scalp is a mighty orb. For a moment, how much to tell. Partially because I wanted to protect Olivia from any chance of the fraud would come out. She had enough going on and didn't need to deal with any of that. And also partially because it was going to be my word against Ben and Mia's. Maybe just Ben's now? Either way, the math wasn't mathing very good. Either way, the math ain't mathing there too good.
I understand this is a difficult subject to broach, Inco. But ensuring issues like bullying are still properly requires us to know what is going on.
He sighed. He was right, of course. Okay, my digital ventriloquist answered. Technically, okay like this has to be both letters, uppercase, if I recall correctly. It's a weird detail, but I know goofy fucking details, and I love beating people on the head with it, like a pedantic asshole. I don't even know what OK stands for. Oklahoma? Oh, it stands for all correct, but with a K. Nice. Or correct. Which is all... What the fuck is going on? Old Kinderhook! Popularized as a slogan during President Van Buren's re-election campaign in the 1840s in the U.S. His old nickname, Old Kinderhook, what the fuck is going on? I love how many versions of the verb okay. It can be okay with uppercase or okay with AY. Jesus. Do you use an apostrophe or ED? Who knows? It's a mystery. It is a mysterious verb. A very mysterious jogo exists here. Man, I miss mysterious jogos. I will keep that word in my heart forever. Actually, let's go with hospital drones. I took a moment to collect my thought and ultimately settled on a more sanitized version of what I told the Yatacon after the Mia incident. I avoided the nature of the blackmail, implying that I didn't catch part of the conversation and didn't know why Mia was forcing Olivia to do this. I detailed how she snuck up on us, and I admittedly instigated a little episode in the hall. It was entirely accidental, but I emphasized the point that Mia was clearly had a history of violent outbursts. Mom looked horrified, while Ferris carried a contemplative front. This is where racism is reborn between species. No doubt the accident had some sort of paperwork come to his desk after it happened. And while I ultimately tossed myself under the bus with Mia and Ben's help, her attack on me today would likely be more enough to cast doubt on her version of events.
Why not come forward when Miss Principal Scalar confronted you?
By the way, I think this is very important to note, but he has used Principal Scalar and Mrs. Scalar. And I think it's important to give a character a voice when they talk about certain people and stick to it. And the reason I say that is it gives a character a certain je ne sais quoi, you know? It shows their relationship in a way, you know? Yeah. Why is she Principal Scalar here, but she's Mrs. Scalar here? Like, stick to one. Stick to one. It just works better. It shows that he has a professional relationship. For example, when I write from Yatacon's perspective, or Solly's perspective, they're both a little bit more lackadaisical about how they treat their relationship. So they call her Kelly, which is the first name I chose for her, because I don't know what her actual first name is. They call her Kelly. She's Kelly Scalar, but they are adults, and she may be her boss, but she's kind of lax and loose. They're a little older than her, maybe. I don't know. I think Yatacon's actually older, because she's mid-30s, and he's like... Yeah. Point is, they're a bit more familiar and, you know, in their minds, she's Kelly. Maybe at work they'll call her Principal Scalar. To other people they will call her Principal Scalar. But in conversation with friends, she's just Kelly. You know, like co-workers talk. You have no idea the paper. Really? I don't... You know what? You can give me a taste. Give me a little taste. Just a little drop of that concentrated licorice on my tongue so I can recoil in horror. I shrugged. It was my word against hers, and Ben hesitated that I was insistent that I was also to blame, taking his girlfriend's side. I don't even know why he had brought on the matter when it was an issue between me and Mia. Also Scalar for PS2. Yeah, baby. It's such a sharp sound. I love it. Ferris considered that and seemed perturbed by the implication.
Yes, Mr. McKnight. Even being the student council president shouldn't have been party to that matter.
Huh?
I will have to talk to Mrs. Scalar about that later.
Again, it's so weird that he uses two different titles for her in the same professional context. Unless the point is to indicate that he's annoyed, but you need to have way more conversations for this to stick. Like, he consistently calls her Principal Scalar, and like when he you know, here's the good way to do it. Here's the sexy way to do it. So that a reread's like, oh, I noticed that. You have him call her Principal Scalar. There's a conversation. There's the implication that he's upset, but he hides it. And he calls her Mrs. Scalar. It's a slip. And then later, when he gets really upset, and we know he's upset, he calls her Mrs. Scalar. You're like, oh, wait. He calls her Mrs. Scalar when he's pissed off at her. So when earlier he said Mrs. Scalar, there was not a slip of the tongue. That was him leaking he was upset despite hiding it from us otherwise. That stuff is when you reread a story and you're like, oh, that's so good. I like that. Or as I like to call it, the Metroidvania of reading. The knowledge wasn't in your brain yet. And that's what books are for. It's thinking and smarts.
Have there been any other incidents?
I explained the first bullying instance I had seen, where Mia, Lunar, and Kiara had cornered Olivia. These characters are so fucking weird. They show up for the contest, they show up for the bullying. They don't do that much otherwise, right? and how I tried and failed to protect her, just making the situation worse.
Oh, sweetie, you meant well.
Still made things worse for Olivia, I retorted. I kind of want the music to be a bit louder. Hold on. I still made things worse for Olivia, I retorted. Ferris was taking notes in his little black book by now. That wasn't a great sign.
I see. Was that the scope of her behavior?
No. I told him about the formal, about how she gave Olivia acting tips. I told him how I went along with it in good faith, thinking Mia was trying to help. I really think there should be a comma there, like strictly speaking. Or, no, maybe he's saying in good faith thinking that, yeah. That's a weird way to say it, though. But maybe that's just me because I imagine the sentence should go a little different. Whoa!
You had seen her bully Mrs. Halford previously. Did you believe that Mrs. Moretti had turned over a new leaf?
I frowned and ran my head over my skull. It is a good question. Because in that version, I'm pretty sure old Inco was like just being a fucking moron. And was just like going along with it, you know?
I never claimed to be a smart person, Mr. Ferris.
I never claimed to be a smart person, Mr. Ferris. I am pretty bad at reading and understanding people. I took what Mia had said at its value and said when I shouldn't have like an idiot. He frowned at that, but noted it down all the same.
Why are you using the Japanese text-to-speech?
What? Well, it's sounding like it's trying to be syllabic instead of whatever.
And then there was the time
she said that we danced.
When you danced?
Yes, with Olivia went with men to try and finalize her eulogy. That Mia basically forced me into a dance with her. I answered.
I see.
I went on to explain how Mia basically spent the entire time insulting Olivia. How she'd never be able to do moves like this and similar things. That's when I finally put together that Mia was just messing with me and Olivia. That was when I finally put together that Mia was messing with me and Olivia, and after everything that happened, my stay in the hospital and then seeing her again at school, it wasn't going to end well. Oh, she was just doing it to fuck with you and kind of, exert some control. I could see that. Fair enough.
I can see how that would create a strenuous situation, yes. How did she come to attack you, then? We only opened the door when she was already set upon you. We didn't catch anything before that, and Mr. McNice was sparse on the details.
I told him about the near miss with dodgeball in PE, which riled my mother up, and how I didn't see her until after school. She was trying to get Ben to make me apologize to her because it wasn't her fault, which it wasn't. But with everything she had done, I wasn't in the talking mood, so I told her I wasn't mad at her. I think you should really bring up the shootout at the beginning of the year, Inco. But on the other hand, that makes Solly and Scalar look like shit, and that's probably not what he wants right now. So fair enough.
And that led to a fight?
Mr. Ferris asked, unconvinced. I told her that with my text-to-speech, she immediately began to mock me about it. His frown deepened. She mocked me and said that me and Olivia were together because we are both disabled. Mom hissed at that. Yeah, that's... Your mom hearing that shit, that's how mom mode activates, buddy. That's how your mom turns into a machete killer at night. You shouldn't have told your mom that, buddy. Especially not with the crip word. Just saying, buddy. The C word's off the table. Mom hissed at that. If I hadn't You slapped her! That's not a broadside. That's the grape shot. If I hadn't broadsided Mia's face and gotten her suspended already, I would almost believe Mom would have marched out of this room right now to hunt Mia down and Mama bear her. I lost my temper at that point and slapped her. Mr. Ferris paused his writing for a moment before looking at me.
And then she retaliated?
Yes, sir. He let out a more low, rumbling sigh.
This is more complicated than expected.
It is, sir. It ties into what I wanted to talk to you about.
How so, Inco?
Since I woke from my injury, I have had moments of intense anger. I have been able to control it until now, but my lashing out at Mia, justified or not, indicates that I have problems. When Mr. Anyada died, you said that there was counseling being offered. Is there still an option for that? He tapped his pen against his chin and thought.
I believe I could arrange something, yes. Trauma from loss can manifest itself in many complex ways, which is why it was offered, but I am sad to admit there was no students that it was offered to agree to it.
Unfortunately, that's no surprise at all. If possible, then look into it for Olivia as well.
Mrs. Halford?
Dude, you've been to the fucking stakeout. You know who she is. He hadn't really considered it in this equation either. Oh, in that context. Whoops.
Yes, I believe I see what you mean. Between Mr. Yadagon's passing and her injury as well as the instances of bullying, it's clear she's suffered a great deal as well. I'll see what I can do, Inco, he confirmed.
I love that comma. Like, you're not supposed to do it if you don't do it like this, but if you do it, you get brownie points for me. Hearing that was a great relief. No one could force her, but maybe this little extra suggestion would be the push she needed. And I really did think it could help her, if only a little. I don't know about the payment obligation. I don't know about the payment obligations, but the Paynes were concerned that it would not be affordable. Could we work something out for that instead? I looked at my mom with a complex look on her face. I could tell that she knew it was important to me, but the cost would explode quickly. But costs like that could explode quickly.
Do they, though?
I know, Mom, but I don't have many options here. I mean, considering how much money you are allowed to throw around, Inco, I'm pretty sure it's fine. Mr. Farnsworth balked at the question.
What? Why would we ever force students in mourning to take the burden of the full cost of such treatment? Where'd that idea come from?
He seemed legitimately upset about that.
No one said it would be full cost.
He slumped into his chair, which groaned under the strain of the fight. Okay, listen, I get it, but don't make fat jokes when someone is being serious. Like, this doesn't work. It just doesn't. It calls attention to weird details. Like, you can say that it just groans, but don't... The strain of the Leviathan is kind of jokey.
To think a miscommunication like this could go such a way.
Mom laid a gentle hand on his arm.
Then it's better to correct the record now and make up for lost time, don't you think?
She looked at her and then back at me.
Oh, yes, you're right, of course. Thank you, Inco. It's been very illuminating, if it does talk. I've always enjoyed our discussions on the metro. Hopefully going forward we can go back to those easygoing ones again.
Yeah, he is! Fair enough, I guess. I see Leviathan not as the term for whales, though. But maybe it is, and I look like a fool. Let's take a look. Wasn't I going to cut the... Oh, yeah, we're almost there. Biblical use of a sea monster, a very large aquatic creature, especially a whale. Huh. Can also refer to an autocratic monarch or state. Nice. Well, I sure look like a gormless fool. My gorms, they're gone. My gorms, all of them.
You're right, of course. Thank you, Inco.
Okay, yeah. He packing away his notepad, and he headed for the door. He gets his notepad. You have to use phone text speech. I would like that, I replied. Mom, oh, let's put on some different music. Let's just put on the sad music I just had a minute ago. That's a bit much. Yeah, I like this one. This one's nice and broody and moody without being too much. Mom eventually opted to head home. It was clear I wasn't really in any danger of getting worse now, and she wanted to catch Dad up on everything when he got home. Maybe your anger issues are because you have brain damage, Inco. It can be that. It doesn't have to be emotional, buddy. Some people, their personality change when their brain gets fucked up. Which, you know, is terrifying. That you as a person have changed because of physical injuries. That fucking sucks. And I think that's a bit much for this story. But I just want to put it down. Apparently, they flipped a coin to decide who'd run over to the school for me. Which is weird, but also kind of endearing. I also texted Damien about what went down. Predictably, he was pretty upset. I told him I checked out okay, though, and they just wanted me to take the day to be sure, and I'd be back Wednesday. They didn't fully ease his frustration, but he seemed to accept it. With an added offer to let me know if I needed breaking out, dude. Let me know if you need breaking out, dude. Oh, this guy. Just kiss already. I also fired off a message to Olivia. Back in the hospital, am okay. Might have knocked the stupid out of Mia. We'll keep you advised. Hopefully that muse her more than worry her. Well, then the final target for today. Yeah, you have Ben's number. You did a class project with him. Hey, Ben, I'm at the hospital. Am okay. Well, I think we need to talk when you have the time. Sent. Few minutes, I got a message back. I think we do. I think we do, yes. What hospital? Oh, no. He's going to take Mia along, and they're just going to kill you in the bed, man. They're going to use the pillow. They're going to use the pillow. Jumping straight in, huh, Ben? Well, I'm not going to complain. I've already jumped into the deep end with your crazy shock of a girlfriend. May as well get on with it. I managed to message him the address and went back to watching artist tutorials on Snoot. I think it's an obsession at this point, Inco. You need to check that out. I lost my stylus, and the screen crack would make it almost impossible for me to draw, but I would try and... Osmos? Osmos? Osmos. Osmos. Osmos? Osmos. Like, I know the term osmosis, right? The Merriam-Webster dictionary has to pass me out. The process of absorption or diffusion. I think he's trying to be fancy, but it's fancy in a way that I don't get, and I got a pretty big vocabulary. So I'm gonna snark. I think... Whatever. Not like I had a better plan. Ben managed to arrive before dinner time. Apparently got one of his parents to give him a ride up, and they'd be back in about an hour. Didn't think whatever this conversation would take longer than that, so that'd be fine. Me, I didn't drive you? No. No further response. I looked Ben over properly. In his normal jacket and turtleneck. Yeah, Osmosis Jones! That's what I mean! I know him, but I know it is that we're on. His hair was definitely more of a mess than he usually was, but otherwise he seemed generally composed. It was a little unnerving. What did you want to talk about? Were you going to hit me too? Oh, screw off, buddy. I couldn't a flash of anger, but I tamped it down. Ben may toss me under buses. Booses. Under booses. Sorry to tell you, buddy, but I'm pretty sure buses is with 2 S's. It is not? It is not. You can write it with 1 S. Well then. Don't I look silly? I'm still gonna say boost. Booses. Ben, don't throw me under the booses. Like it's a career. But I'm not inclined to slap the guy. I wasn't even inclined to slap me until she pushed me too far. It did stir a thought in me, however. I lashed violently at her. I wasn't sure if it would meaningfully make its way back to me or if her punishment would be reduced. Given what I told Mr. Ferris, the answer was likely not. But still, that first strike was on me. I would like to point out, Inco, that your comments, if anything, would make me more likely to return. Given that you basically told him that, hey, by the way, in that instance, that was actually me. Unless you were talking about the Atacon incident extensively. That might help, but I don't know, man. It's complicated. I may have gotten a bit too comfortable with that my condition... Wait. I'd gotten maybe a bit too comfortable that my condition obligated me to take a few more moments to consider my words, without thinking what would happen if I opted to skip words and jump straight to action. Fair enough. Like when I skipped trying to talk to Olivia and went for that hug. Shiver rolled over my body. Okay, I still need to work with that. Inco Noted. Wink, brain. We'll loop back to that later, before Ben gets bored and leaves. Sure enough, Ben was looking quite annoyed that I'd zoned out again. I know you have taken some lumps, Inco, but are you sure you're okay? This isn't the first time you have spaced out. I think that's something that's always been wrong with me. It's fine. He wasn't impressed with that answer, but it was the important part anyway. Okay, we need to talk about two things. Mia and Olivia. Which one do you want to deal with first? It's now scrunched to both suggestions. Mia. I reflexively clicked my tongue in noise, and he took the easy option first. That sparked off further frown of his own. Inco, if you are in no mood to talk to... No. Clearly, this all had to come to a head. We need to sort this shit out now, both of us. He rolled his eyes and groaned before walking over to... How is this man class president? He's described as, like, charismatic and socially flexible and all this fun stuff, and he's just like, Inco, oh, man, I don't have time. The clock, Inco, I'm here for an hour anyway, but I'm impatient anyway. I don't think I've ever seen him act like this before. Yeah, that's what I mean. Very telling. Well, so you have nothing to say about your girlfriend mocking 2 disabled people in front of you and using slurs about me? He flinched at that. Yeah, Mr. Class fucking President. Mr. President. Mr. President, Mia flew 2 slurs into the school. Well, Mia has a habit of saying things she doesn't mean, but doesn't mean most of the words I've had her say over the course of the entire last semester. Most of the words I've heard her say over the course of the last semester was insulting Olivia, saying nothing of the blackmail. The what? All right, Bucko, cards on the table. Let's see who folds first, Blue Boy. Blue Boy. Your girlfriend was extorting Olivia for homework for her and her friends to the point that Olivia injured her wrist while trying to keep up with the workload. That is why she wasn't able to do a final painting for Mr. Iadicon before he died. She literally could not paint. What? What? Oh, Quinless! It was what was led to the incident with Mia in the hallway. We can skip that bullshit. We can skip the bullshit on that too. You know that, and I know that I didn't flashbang her. Let us be honest about it. His face folded into a scowl and he pinched his temple.
Fine. I know she lost control about something and wrecked the entire hallway. What do you want me to do? Throw my girlfriend under the bus? Yes!
Ben goes Dallas on a summer day. You certainly don't have a problem doing it to me. That one struck him solidly.
You agreed to Mia's story.
I did. And I expressly told you afterwards that it was to try and smooth things over to make it easier for everyone. Did it? Did my noble sacrifice help anything, Ben? My digital voice flatly drawled out. Hopefully the benign voice didn't understand the sneer on my own face.
Look, Inco.
Did she tell you that she faked an injury in detention after that? That she made me do all the cleaning and repair work myself? The spark of confusion told me that she had not. What about when she danced with me? Did she mention that she spent the entire fun making fun of Olivia for being disabled? How she couldn't do moves like this? Or how she was a lost cause? The expression was slowly beginning to drain from his face. Or that I was stupid enough to let her wheel Olivia off somewhere for acting tips when it was clearly another chance at mocking Olivia minutes before she would go on to tell the student body how her mentor was dead. Ben clasped his hands. Sweat was beginning to form on his brow. You love Mia, Ben. I get that. I love Olivia. Both of our girls are troubled people, but Mia is a shit person. She manipulates you. She manipulated me. She manipulated Olivia. She spent an entire semester mocking and blackmailing Olivia. Man, I think the notepad would have been better. His head was hanging low now, staring at the floor. She has done nothing but be a wretched, abusive bully, and you cover for her time after time. Do you think that Mr. Ferris is going to let that slide anymore, or Scalar? They both know that you have been protecting her. By the way, I hear it, you protected her today when she nearly gave my head in.
What do you want me to do?
Ben finally snapped, standing as he yelled out.
Be hollow.
Be honest for once, I think. I yelled back at him unassisted, smashing my hand into the rail of the hospital bed. Good job! The lance of pain jolted me out of my rage and made me center myself. Ah, my ear. I rubbed my wrist for a moment and then grabbed my phone again. The scowl was still on my face, but I composed myself a little. Be honest for once, Ben. I think you have paid enough for that much. Olivia has too. He fell back into his chair and let out a snort. A snort? Rude. A heartbeat later, he started to snort laugh more. And soon it had developed into a giggling cackle that lasted only a moment before it turned into a strangled squeaking cries. His face planted itself firmly in his hands. Themselves? You don't describe someone's face with non-binary pronouns, buddy. Especially plural. His glasses slipped from his face and clattered to the floor. Oh shit. Ben is going nuts. He's going fucking nuts. This is his psychopath arc. I'm sorry, Inco, but you're fucking dead. The sequel was all in his head. I gave him a few moments to compose himself. He cast several shuddering breaths trying to calm himself down. You would have almost caved your head in if you had listened to the Japanese guy you shared a room with the slot car addiction who was telling you about some counter and tigers.
Inco, Inco, you should have listened to the guy you were hanging out with who had a slut car addiction.
He was just talking about tigers and counters.
Inco, he had learned a powerful counter move from a perverted man behind the combini. He was watching him assault a tree and learned a powerful counter move.
What are you talking about, Ben?
What man? What combini?
Inco, you do know that we are in Komorocho, right?
What?
Man, I really was out for a while, huh?
Inco, you're Japanese.
What? Man, that's when things go fucking off the wall. That's the kickflip I want to see. Anyway, what is your deal, Ben? You always felt like you had so much control over every social situation. You could talk your way out of anything. I looked up to you as someone to aspire to because I was a loser that couldn't socialize at all. But the whole thing with pushing the eulogy, even though Olivia didn't want it, tossing me under the bus without considering me at all, even though we were friends, covering for Mia after she time and time again hurt everyone around her, probably even you. I have been doing a lot of thinking lately, Ben. Ever since I almost died and woke up from a coma, I have been a shit person. Probably for a long time, but definitely to the people closest to me, and honestly, I think we are pretty similar in that regard. The death blow struck the blue star. Yeah, maybe we are. As one fucked up person to another then, Ben. What is your deal? Why are you like that? Because, Inco, your brain damage has also made you psychotic. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Hey! Shit sucks, buddy. He reached down and plucked his glasses off the floor, but rather than putting them back in his face, he folded them and placed them in his lap. As someone who has glasses, I never do that. That's a weird place to put them. Because they'll rub on your legs, and then your glasses get all foggy, or you're painting them up, and then your tears get on them. Blech. He let his head roll back and stare at the ceiling, contemplating. I've just been thinking. We're kind of similar, aren't we? Oh, wait. I've just been thinking. We're kind of similar, aren't we? Not in the way that you think, but maybe that way too. But different in a way as well. The response got me to raise an eyebrow. It was cryptic and it told me nothing. He sighed. What was it that Olivia told you about me? About me and her? I shrugged. Not much. The two of you had history, a falling out, and basically never talked again. I felt like she wanted to tell me, but it just never came to it. More or less. I was a friend back in middle school. I couldn't tell you how it came about. Maybe it wasn't all that different from how you and her started to become friends. We were both artistically inclined and bonded over that. I could see her create these amazing paintings. She was one of the most talented individuals I'd ever met. Even back here, in the years since then, I don't think anyone's come close. I nodded. St. Hammond has that contest, you know, the one at the start of every year, which is a really awkward time to start a contest. You just showed up, and it's like, how did she sign up? You have like 2 days to enter your fucking entry. She was a freshman. She had 2 days. Or like that week. That's so mean for freshmen. I encouraged her to enter it. I felt like it was a shoo-in. Her talent was incredible, and she would get the fame and fortune and recognition that talent deserves. So what's your deal, Ben? Inco, it all started with 2 small games called Amor and Persona 5 and Chain 6. Don't play JRPGs, Ben. You have to kill God now. That's not healthy. For anyone, especially the religions. Seems like something a good friend would do. He shook his head. Only at the beginning. She spent all summer working on that. She refused help as much as possible. She was even annoyed that she needed the help of a guy to find a good place for the vantage spot. She was so independent. He chuckled a bit. At a certain point, it's made me angry. Angry? Why? Because when you look at Olivia, you can immediately tell what her entire deal is. You cannot ignore the witch, right? My frown deepened. But she resisted at every turn. Anything that could give her a leg up. Any affordance people tried to provide, she pushed off in the name of her art. Ben scoffed. I could tell that maybe it was not enough. St. Hammond is famous for its art programs. Even getting in means that you've got quite some talent. It's a high school, man! Not a college! So it is not like Olivia was unique in that regard. But seeing her losing that contest because of a stubborn resistance to getting help in her condition is just, His face contorted into a snarl as he balled his fists. Why would you care? It is her decision, right? Because I am not normal either, Inco. I'm fucked up in the head. He sneered at me. He reached into his jacket pocket and tossed a bottle into my lap. I wasn't familiar with the actual drug name, but the descriptor made it clear. Antipsychotics. Again, that's not what a psychosis is. I think. What antipsychotics do, to be specific. I held the bottle and stared at it for a moment before nodding. Handed it back to Ben, but he made a move to grab it. After a moment, I just placed it on. Everyone's got shit in their lap now. I take classes to be normal. I take medicine to be normal. I have to spend all my time awake thinking about how to be normal. If I sleep for 1 minute, if I actually try to get some kind of help or assistance, everyone knows. Oh, that Ben guy is crazy! He spat the last word out. And I just had to sit there and watch Olivia be the pretty little princess with all of her talent, wasting the opportunity because she was too high-minded to ask for assistance. Oh, for the condition, people were tipping themselves over to accommodate. So I used my options to help her. I was student council secretary in freshman year. How? I was in charge of doing student news articles, and wrote about Olivia. My eyes widened at that. I reached out to that social safety net that she had for her because she wasn't taken. The article emphasized she was fighting all the odds due to being stuck in a wheelchair. Do you know what happened when I did? I only sit and watch, as Ben explained, but I knew what was going on. She fucking won! Do you know what the best part was? Even though I was she hated me for it. Tears began to roll down his cheeks, but he continued. I told her, I said to her face, that this was her shot, and she won. Her talent might have won, but there was a little extra push that she could win for sure. That she may not ever have a good chance at that ever again. God damn it, the look she gave me. Ben wiped his eyes, but nothing could stop the slow cascade of water. We stopped talking after that. I was dead to her. The funniest part is that for all the high-minded ideals, all the holier-than-downness, that not accepting help for her condition. Ben leveled his eyes and directly at mine and scowled. She took the money and fame anyways. I could feel my throat tightening. I knew that a history, but damn, I wasn't ready for this. I was honestly positive that... I was honestly not positive anyone would be ready for this. And I just sucked it up. I just thought that friendship trying to help her, and she just hypocrites it up and never talks to me again. And even then, people would lavish her with support, her family, her school. Every importance, every gimme. She got in spits and threw it into the mud, while I got nothing. If I stepped out of line, I would be a social outcast. Do you know what my deal is, Inco? That is my fucking deal. He concluded his sentence with all the rage and fury that had been building up inside of him. And then he was spent. I think we need that tighter song now. Yeah, fuck it, bro. We're going whole hog. Then he was spent. Should have done that earlier, actually. Whatever. Ben collapsed into a seat. His head lolled back as his body shook. A choker arc, probably. I gave him several minutes to calm down. Olivia had kept it all bottled up inside, but so clearly had Ben. You know, Safi, if you're gonna crank up the music, why are you using a filter for this instead of just... How do I make this go away? Like this? Just remove the game. Just remove the game. Olivia kept it all bottled inside, but clearly so had Ben. It didn't excuse anything. Hell, it didn't even explain anything. But I was starting to get a proper grasp on who Benjamin McKnight was. He was pretty much as much of a broken mess as I was. Damn. I don't think it's his psychotics, his antipsychotics that are this. It is just that he wants to get help. He wants to be helped, but Olivia won't take it. So he's like, Olivia, if I want help, and I will live my help vicariously for you, which makes no sense, but, you know, whatever. He's a little crazy. He's a little cray-cray, you know? Let him be a little cray-cray. Damn. He took a few shaky breaths and then continued. Then moved from a slouched position. Ben drives. What? Like you said, we were alike, alright? Yeah. It is a mix of things. Before the social format, you were just a socially maladjusted ass. First rude, but yeah, second fair enough. But I could kind of see myself in that. I may have had social etiquette training to work around that, but the core was there. But after the formal, you can't talk properly anymore, right? Yeah, this is something. Loss of control on the facial muscles. On jaw and facial muscles. But you look normal. Yes. As long as you don't talk, you are okay. Yeah, I get it now. As long as I don't out myself, I am normal. Oh wait, as long as I don't out myself, I am normal like you. He sniffled. Yep. We sat in silence again. I don't exactly condone his behavior. To say that it was fucked up was like saying my trip down the stairs was a minor headache. But I got it now. This guy was carrying years of some internalized issues and was an unfortunate event in which he tried to help Olivia the wrong way. Blew up in his face. I mean, fair enough, psychiatrist Inco. Damn it. We really were similar at the core. We really were more similar at the core of it than I wanted to admit. But we aren't the same. Again, this is why you want to include the period, because I really think it does this by default. I don't know if you can edit it out. And I still haven't looked at that because I'm stupid and I'm not uploading anything. I'm just writing some random ass garbage. Sorry to tell you, buddies. Sorry, I got distracted in my brain. I had an Inco moment. I was doing method acting. Ben, about me, yeah? You want to know why I put up with all of her shit? It's pretty easy, actually. She knows about me. Wait, Mia's blackmailing Ben, too? She knows about my condition and she doesn't care. I think she's seen me taking my med once and... Okay, well, she literally backed me to Kun about it. When I told her about it, nothing changed. She was still Mia and I was still Ben. He rolled his head back and looked at me. His eyes were red. She made me feel normal. She has her own issues and I try to help with them. Is everyone at this fucking school disabled somehow? Jesus. Everyone's got something, buddy. Is St. Hammond the school for the special? Jeez. It never stops. She made me feel normal. She has her own issues and I've tried to help with them. I've been more successful in some places than others, but yeah, she could really be a bitch sometimes. I wouldn't even disagree. But she's the only person in my life other than my parents that I didn't have to worry about thinking less of me because of my condition. He sat forward again, rubbing his eyes and sighing. After a moment, he put his glasses back on his face. Little gator mod. Little Gator mod is happening when enough people yell at me about it. And I'm not keeping track. Please don't make me play Little Gator mod. $50 minimum. That'll teach you.
I might even make it $250.
Some people say that's $100, and I say no, it's not. I don't even know. I don't even know who's on the $50 bill. I think it's Grant, right? I know that Benjamin is $100. It's Ulysses S. Grant. Two Grants don't make a Benjamin doesn't make two. Whatever. The joke isn't working anymore. Okay, it's dead. It's on the floor, and I'm crying. Are you happy? Is this what you wanted? Is this the Mia scheme you've been cooking? Is my egg boiled? He sat forward again, rubbing his eyes and sighing. After a moment, he put his glasses back on his face.
Do you know how much that means to me? It is worth more than its weight in gold.
He stood, grabbed his pill bottle, and tucked it back into his jacket pocket.
Look, Inco, I am sorry about how Mia has treated you and Olivia. I'll talk to her about it, but if you really think I'm going to have to choose between either of you, or the only lifeline to normalcy I've ever had, I'm going to pick Mia every time.
He headed towards the doorway and stopped partway. He turned back to me.
I know that isn't what you want to do here, and I'm sorry about it, Inco, but I can't. You can hate me or whatever. I get it, but I can't. If you are willing to do me any kindness at all, though, please don't tell anyone about
He patted his jacket pocket, and I could hear the pill bottle. It's a distance to hear it, man.
this.
I only hesitated for a moment before answering. Our farmer, I said, unassisted. I'd like to think that sold my sincerity, even if it sounded weird. Ben gave me a weak smile, and then left, closing the door behind him. Fuck. Well, what a fucking story this is turning into, huh? Good lord. Good fucking lord. I've been in those situations where people make you normal or honestly... That's abuse. This is domestic abuse. This is literally fucking textbook how abusers isolate their victims, Ben. She's probably part of the reason why you think you're weird. She keeps hammering that shit home on some level. I imagine, because it's too easy for her. Again, antipsychotics are not for psychopaths. I may not be able to talk, you dumb bitch, but I can still plant 5 across your face. It's so weird that he went for a slap, but I guess it suits him. I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but what a PFP to have Fang throwing it back. Jesus. All right, next time we gotta check in with Dr. Nickett. Oh, yeah, because he's still at the hospital. How is this chapter 6? Woof. Fucking woof. Apparently Olivia is going to come back into the story. Took a long ass time. But yeah, chapter... Jesus. What a fucking story this has turned into. My goody good goodness. I'm not complaining though. This has been fantastic. And I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it, as they say. Thank you all for coming. That's pretty much it for tonight. We're not going to make things too complicated, but... you know, Scary Dave might not be here, but he might have left me some links today. And if he did, we're gonna look at him now just to bully the man. Oh, he's gonna feel so silly. Would I do that to him, though? Would I do that to him, though? That's so cruel. That's so cruel. Oh, no, he hasn't posted it. So we're good. We're good to go. I'll be honest, I really like where the story is going. That's a hell of a punch. Hell of a punch. My jaw is aching. Dr. Nick is just Dr. Kahura, but maybe, I don't know. I also can't kind of wait to get to another story, because as much as... like I said, I think the big thing about this is that the plot, characters, and themes... Now, the themes maybe less, Like, metatextually, it's a bit weak, but characters and theme are strong. And fuck, if you got 2 out of 3, man, you're already, like, on the way to a very good story. Like, 3 out of 3 is for the big boys with the big pants. Could it be me? I don't fucking know, man. But I like to dream. I need to check out my list. What is next on the list? Because Inco Noted kind of got slotted in there. Just kind of got crammed in there, you know? Let's see. I think it's still the same post. These are all complaints, me having observations. Man, I need to shut the hell up and go to hell. What a fucking loser I am. Maybe I should repost the master post again. Just for posterity's sake. That's a very old list. Oh, there it is. Fuck, this one's not up to date, is it? Oh shit. I keep losing this post, and I need to stop doing that. Is Infamous Fallen Return? No, that's a recent one. That's the one I recently added. Okay, so we could put Inco Noted in here. Technically speaking, the next one on the list is Bad Apple. I forgot what Bad Apple... 150,000 words. Twice as long as this one. Ugh. 12 chapters. Ugh. But this guy does not have the thing where he has double spacing, so that's nice. You know, it's like it's a tiny treat. It's a tiny treat, but it's a... Oh. Vampire biting down. Bad Apple. And Jesus Christ, the fucking thumbnail art is Anon standing in a graveyard with shadows surrounding him. Man, that's not great. That's really bad. I kind of wish the streaming could be my job so that, you know. There's one big reason. There's one big fucking reason I want this to be my job, because it is hard to plan these streams without it being messy. Because I just don't have the time to do one chapter that's over 10,000 words long in one go. That's the one big thing, is to have an excuse. Bad Apple is a cope fic with Stella. Jesus. I'm not coping. And I haven't even... Shut up, Seffi. Oh, yeah, it is Anon Stella. Nice. Well, we'll see where we are when we get there. We'll see where we are when we get there. Just letting things sink in. Letting it all sink in. Cope fic though, interesting. Let's read we got like a weekend or so left, depending on if I do another bonus stream somewhere this week. I might, because I'll be fucking pissed. I'll be pissed. And reading a good story is a great way to relax a little bit, you know? Because Inco Noted, as mentioned, is actually kind of good. So it helps me relax instead of getting almost so mad. Anyway, the following story contains spoilers for ending one of Snoot Game. 4.5 months after the incident at Volcano High, Anon is left a broken man, haunted by sins and ghosts of the past, unsure what comes after the storm. However, a chance encounter with past acquaintances is it possible for him to find light in the darkness. What a fucking way to start your story, buddy. Yep, that's coming up in a week or two. It's so weird to think that we're almost done with Inco Noted, because it's not so goddamn wordy. I mean, it's kind of wordy. It has a couple of sections I think could be cut, but nothing that would cut down the word count by maybe 10 to 20% you could cut easily. That's like 60,000 words. That's a hell of a lot shorter. I'm not too harsh on it, because like I said, it is way more to the point than Nothing to Something was, so like, damn, motherfucker, it gets somewhere in a reasonable time. Oh, I think I'm going to put the sequel on the list, too, because it just deserves it. It fucking deserves it, okay? You want to know how you get up on the list? You write a good fucking story. You slap me on the cheeks with that one. Sela Vinito. Why does everyone get a middle name? What does Sela Vinito stand for? Is it living la vida loca, I guess. I need to relax. Take a deep breath. And I thank you all for coming. And I hope you come again. Man, maybe that's what I really want to do. I just want to look at the camera and say, man. Oh, I remember that fucking, what was it again? Was it a fox? Yeah, it was the little fennec fox that's like turned away from the camera, and the text is like, man, big man energies. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Oh no, yeah, it's okay. I think I found it. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. So you can all understand what's going on in my little baby brain. Plank, get out of here. Inco Noted is fine. We don't need you here. But I appreciate that you're whetting those eyeballs. Oh yeah. How could I fucking forget? This art's so great. So great. So great. Odd parents, fairly odd parents. Look at this. Look at this. Does he not exude the raw man energies? Come on. You know he does. You know he does. You know he does. Man. Just man. But if we're doing Bad Apple, I have to draw concept background art. Ugh. I have 2 weeks. I'll be fine. Or maybe I'll do Promise of a Lifetime by then. Who knows? We'll see there when we get there. Until then, I'm gonna say hey, thank you all for coming. And like I said, tune in next week, same time, on Friday, like a day earlier, because I do 2 streams a week sometimes. We'll get through this. Put up your little fists, punch at the air,